the last 3 decades, Boise State has been part of some of the most incredible moments in college football. From jaw-dropping highlights to historical performances, Boise State has been part of it all. What all these teams had in common was their origin, the blue. With a top 3 winning record since 2003, you would be excused in believing the blue turf has magical powers, but it doesn't. It's not the color of the turf that gives the field its power, it's you, Bronco Nation. I've done a lot of videos talking about the athletes and coaches who have played on that turf, but I decided it was time I did a video focusing on the most important and long-lasting part of Boise State, Bronco Nation. Thank you to all who agreed to be interviewed as part of this video. Now let's go meet them.
Travis.
Michelle.
Nick Jensen.
Colin Bonner.
Charles Steinbrunner.
Michelle Steele.
Since 1972.
Since 1989.
Came back up here in 95. A buddy of mine was actually in the band going to school here, so came up here having a good time with him and going to my first game against the Washington State Cougars with Ryan Leaf, and we got blowed out like 80-10, but I was hooked, and I've been a season ticket holder ever since.
Well, ever since I moved here about 25, 30 years. One of the earliest memories I have is the sales manager at Eddie's Bakery. I was his boss, and he said, let's go to a football game. We came down here, we walked in, bought a ticket. There was hardly any people around. Skip Hall was the coach at that time. And Roy Schmidt, who is no longer with us, he always hollered at him, throw the ball, Skippy! Because he was always running the ball. That's one of my first memories of Boise State football.
Oh my gosh, for as long as I can remember. Matter of fact, I really started when I was living in Minnesota, and there was a lot of Boise people living there, and that's what brought us together, was our love and support of Boise State. We watched football in Minnesota together. It was the second Fiesta Bowl, but our first Fiesta Bowl, and we connected with a big group of family there that we had met in Minnesota who also were from Boise, and it just felt like home, it felt like family. It's the first thing I think of when I think about the goosebumps I get of loving this town and this organization and supporting these young men. And
I mean, I'm representing Doug today because he was one of my favorites, man. Just blue collar guy, humble kid, super humble kid. Horrible what happened, but yeah, I've been a Doug fan since he came on.
Probably one of the guys that just passed away, Doug Martin. I remember him well. So sad to see what happened to him at his young age.
Well, if you want to go really way back to the day, Lee Marks. I just loved him, and he just was such a fighter. You know, I mean, I guess he got the credit, but, you know, he was an amazing player, had some amazing core strength.
Jim McMillan.
I know he gets recognition, but I love Leighton. Honestly, Leighton, he actually married a friend of mine's niece, so a little bit of connection there.
Well, I would say recently it was Reno. Glad that's over.
Yes.
Went there last week, kicked their ass, and now we come back here. So, but yeah, it's probably going to be Fresno going forward because they're coming with us. Keep that milk can thing going. I just see that being the rivalry going forward.
I mean, I think it changes, right? Back in the day, it was Idaho, and then Nevada. You know, we've had Nevada. I don't even know. I kind of feel like Oregon sometimes. You know, Oregon to me is that rival because they're always like, we're going to beat you, and we continue to beat them.
I always felt like San Diego State was one of our biggest rivals because they've been real good and then sometimes not as good. But I would think right now they would be the biggest rival. But I always like to watch when we can kick the crap out of somebody that's not even in our league, you know, or in our division.
I think right now it'd probably be the Bulldogs, just because we work with some managers that are down in the Fresno area, and so we start the trash talking about a week ago, and emails back and forth, and so I'd go out on a limb and say Bulldogs.
Until we stopped playing them, Idaho. It still is Idaho.
You know, I used to think it was Nevada because I was at that game when Colin Kaepernick came in, and I was like, oh my gosh, that kid's going to the NFL. He gave me goosebumps watching him, and that is a very memorable game. So I've always felt like the Wolfpack have been a pretty big, so I was so glad to see us beat them down. Yes. So, yeah, I would say probably Nevada, but now it's not as much as it used to be.
Probably the biggest moment here and probably the best game here was the Kaepernick game. What was that, 4 or 5 overtimes? Craziest game I've ever been to. Craziest game, craziest outcome. That was probably the best fan experience, best game to watch here on the Blue.
The Fiesta Bowl 07. I was there. It was so incredible. After Z threw the pick, I told my son, you know what? We came to play. It's okay. And then the next minute was like, holy cow. Did that just happen?
Well, one of my favorite memories is going to the Fiesta Bowl, and the first time when Ian Johnson was playing and that trick play that they did at the end. That was my favorite because those people did not treat us very nice, you know. They thought we were disgusting, that we weren't going to get to first base and all this and that. And the next day they had a different attitude. They were pretty humble. And
the best memory, I can't remember what year it was, is playing for the Mountain West Championship. It was super cold. It was like right in there somewhere, and it was like below zero, and I had season tickets, and I wasn't going to miss a game, and my daughter, who was can't remember if she graduated high school, but right in there somewhere, and so she didn't want me to go alone because I'm not missing this game, and I don't care if it's below zero, so she troopered up, and we all bundled up and had 3 layers of coats on, and so and then we won, and that was an awesome game.
Oh, wow, there's so many. I just think winning, we went to the Georgia game, honestly, that Georgia opener, and we stayed in the hotel with the dogs. That was fun. They actually said, we really love you guys, we just hate your colors because you remind us of the Gators. But you know what? That game was, I think, the most memorable for me in terms of a non-conference game. To win that game and see our team succeed and come out of there beating the Georgia Dogs, that's probably my most memorable, exciting moment.
It scares me a little because of the transfer portal and the NIL. I do not like pro football because of that reason, and so it is tainting college for me. And it's just hard for a school like Boise. We don't have the money, you know? And so it's like, do people come here, get developed, and get pulled from other people? We were lucky Ashton Genty stayed, you know? So it makes me sad, but I'm going to support them as long as I can.
You know, I love their philosophy. I love that they stick to it no matter what all the naysayers say. We always seem to, because of our philosophy, we seem to pull it out. This is how many years now of going to a bowl? There's a record out there now. Yeah, 16 or 17 years. So even though the naysayers will say, oh, yeah, it's not going to be a good year, but we always seem to do it because of that wonderful blue philosophy. You know, I just love it. So, yeah, I see it continuing on that. It might be a little struggle at first. You know, we're going to have tougher competition on a day in and day out basis, but I feel that's what we're prepared for. That's the next step.